So, let's start with probably what the biggest story in sports is right now. Deshaun Watson.
Oh, man.
This is crazy. We haven't seen anything like this against a sports player in quite some time. The last one I can really think of is Tiger, actually.
Yeah.
To kind of go through this large of a sexual assault type of case. Obviously, kind of give you guys some background. So far, 22 women have come forward and are accusing him of some kind of sexual assault or misconduct. Now, these are all, at the moment, just civil suits, but their attorney, who's all represented by a single attorney, is starting to move their files to the Houston Police Force, so this could end up becoming a criminal case. And then the most recent news on this is that just yesterday, they had an emergency hearing or Deshaun Watson's lawyer called for an emergency hearing to force most of the women to come forward with their names so they no longer just be Jane Does. That was granted, and they have so much time in order to actually reveal themselves as who is accusing Deshaun Watson of these things.
Yeah, so a little more detail on that. So that hearing was actually yesterday. So we're recording this as of Saturday the 10th. So on Friday of April 9th, that hearing happened. 13 out of 22 were ordered to come through with their names.
Okay.
13 out of 22 exactly. And it was also said that they had 2 days to come with their names or the case will be dismissed entirely. So there was a hard set on this. So by the end of the 11th, as in tomorrow, Sunday, April 11th, all 13 names are not into the judge and into the lawsuit, then this case is gone.
The whole case is just those 13?
I assume at least those 13 then. Okay. The other Jane Does remaining were technically not a part of this conversation, so I assume those stay intact. But it did say they had 2 days to comply, basically, or the case will be dismissed.
And 2 women have already come forward and spoke publicly about it.
Yeah.
They did a press conference. That would actually bring, if all 13 come forward, it means 15 of the 22 victims would have come forward with their name.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a pretty unprecedented. It's been a long time since we've seen something on this magnitude in the sports world. I know, Chet, you have some more things you want to come up about a couple of interviews that his lawyers put out in a press conference.
Just a couple things I just found recently, too, because me and Tyler, up until this point, up until literally just, within the last couple hours of just kind of reading all these new articles coming out from the hearing yesterday and from even some stuff this morning, my initial thought was, he's done. Like, he's screwed. Once you see the Nike deal gets pulled, the Beats by Dre deal gets pulled, like, you're talking these huge companies are now looking at this, like, not only is it bad advertisement, but if it's becoming serious allegations, not just going for money, people are coming out with text messages or the interviews of the 2 ladies talking about, it seemed like legitimate experiences. It wasn't just fishing for anything. Like, the way they described it, you can see there was a real altercation or interaction there. So my first taking was like, he's done. There's no chance he comes out from this. But when you find some of these interviews and some of these things that people are saying, it's a weird twist it comes up with. So the first one I want to bring up is Deshaun Watson's, one of his previous massage therapists. She was on an interview on a Houston radio news just yesterday. In the background, she quotes that she worked with Deshaun Watson for 2.5 years as his personal massage therapist. A couple quotes from her say, "I don't see Deshaun as being an aggressor of any sort, and I know throwing this word predator around, I don't see him as a predator of any kind." She also goes on to claim, Watson never asked me for any sexual favors. He never harassed me. He's never coerced me into anything at all. He's always been super quiet. The only conversations we've ever had, I'm usually the one initiating the conversation. And this is all public too. Her statement is all public. Everything's online. There has been some questions raised. There are text messages between the 2 of them. Something interesting that she kind of addressed, saying most of it was she no longer a client of him or has him as a client because she said that Deshaun was working with so many different clients, so many different massage therapists and estheticians and whatnot, that she didn't feel comfortable doing work on him without her knowledge of what other people are doing as well. So she left it there. She also does say, this is what kind of got me even more confused. There's a saying that Deshaun had some type of actual personal relationship with one of these therapists or estheticians, and she quotes having a conversation with Deshaun during one of the appointments saying, "Me speaking with Deshaun and telling him to be careful was because I felt like he doesn't know the intentions of some of these people that he worked with. You know, it's his personal information. He has been put on Instagram and doesn't feel like it was safe for him in his career to not to go kind of, and that's good. Quote gets a little misread there, kind of go to anybody. So basically she's saying she doesn't, he needs to be careful with how he is, his personality, stardom. He's working with so many people, around so many people that, intentions could be easily misread, it sounds like here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just interesting to see somebody who's worked with them recently for 2.5 years. I mean, she said he just got rid of him as a client within the last 3-4 months when he started seeing so many other therapists and whatnot as well. So it's not like, this was 4 or 5 years ago. This is within the last 2.5, 3 calendar years.
Right. It is a very interesting bit. So clearly, with their relationship was good and it was professional, as it should be. It'd be interesting to know the factors, which we'll never actually know, of why with these other women it was different. What made her different? Who knows? Like again, we'll never actually know why. But it's certainly an interesting deal. I mean, I remember when the allegations first started coming out was probably about 4 weeks ago now.
About 4 weeks, yeah.
And at first it was like 2, and then it became 7 in like a couple days.
And then 2 weeks it was like 12, 14.
And now we're up to 22.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, especially with situations like this, when there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
So I would hate for any of these women coming forward to be lying, because it actually takes away from the other true victims.
Yeah.
Of it. So I hope that's not the case. But clearly something absolutely happened that was not, which just wasn't okay.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think there's no a disagreement here that there was a chance that any of these are fake. Or, like, from the victims, like, there could be some fakers in there, but there was a 100% chance that there's people in here that altercations and sexual types of acts did occur.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's definitely guaranteed. What the interesting thing is Deshaun Watson's attorney yesterday, after the emergency hearing, and after his press conference after that, he said, which is extremely kind of frightening, actually. Deshaun Watson's attorney, Rusty Hardin, indicated his quote was, "Sometimes consensual encounters." So, and he was asked to elaborate on that. He said, "I'm not going into what it is, the nature, the numbers, or with whom," Hardin says. "The question that I always have been emphasizing, never at any time, under any circumstances, did this young man ever engage in anything that was not mutually desired by the other party." So his own lawyer basically saying that yes, the sexual acts did occur, but they were all consensual apparently.
But that's going to be the obvious defense you're going to take, right?
Oh yeah, it seems weird. It almost seems like he's getting ready to like give him like, I'm going to plead guilty type. If it goes like criminal, like it's potential, like we're talking about, that almost seems like it's a setup for Deshaun just to plead guilty because hey, you're like, yes, the accident happened. I thought they were consensual the whole way around. It never meant them to be, like assault or misconduct or rape or whatever it could be. Because my opinion, always consensual. So if you're putting this out now, you're like, hey, no, it's always been consensual. Anything happened, whatever conversations happened in the background, it was real between both parties. Like, is he just trying to set the stage for how much worse it's gonna get? That he feels like maybe.
Right. The issue with that is that like, even if that was true, even if Deshaun Watson absolutely thought it was completely consensual, ignorance is not an excuse.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like you have to know better. I mean, realistically, especially now, like when it's so prevalent and talked about now, and like it's always in kind of the back of my mind when like you're leading into kind of that type of deal. It's like you ask permission at this point, right? Yeah. It's like, do you want this too? Like, is this where we want to go? And you want them to say yes. So just because you thought it was going that way and then it did does not mean that they actually wanted it to. Especially when you're talking about these women who are in front of a star athlete. Mm-hmm. There's different pressures that go along with that they're not used to being told no, things of that nature. So even they did say no, was he listening? Did he care?
Right.
So there's these pressures that that's hard. Like people act weird around celebrities. We hear this all the time about, you just want to please them for no reason, just because like they're a celebrity. We put so many celebrities and athletes, for that matter, on such a high pedestal that it can misconstrue like the way we should really view. They're real human beings, and they can't, just because we put them on a pedestal doesn't mean that they should be allowed to overstep boundaries and break the law and things of that nature.
Yeah. No, yeah, and they shouldn't be. Nothing gets changed in that fact. It's just interesting to see his own attorney almost seems like he's setting up for the future issues, in a way. You see what I'm saying? Like, I think he's setting the stage to make it the easiest way out for Deshaun, almost. That's kind of how I'm interpreting it.
Well, I mean,
it's like, why would you say, and Deshaun's whole thing since this happened, he goes, I just want my reputation. Because I've never acted this way, I've never done anything like that before. I don't want my name being slandered against. He goes, he cares a lot about his reputation and how his name's spoken about. And that's been his quote since the first allegation came through. So if you're saying that now your own attorney is putting it out there, like any attorney would be like, no, you deny.
Right.
But this attorney is saying, no, we're going to say, hey, yes, sexual acts happened, but they were consensual between both parties.
Right. Well, it's because it's easier to bring in fault and muddy the water saying, yes, sex happened, but it was consensual, than saying, no, there was no sex. Like, it's easier to muddy the water. When it comes down to his reputation, I mean, that's shot already. Doesn't matter the way this ends. His reputation is already shot. I mean, this is certainly on a different level, but like, Bill Cosby was America's dad for 50 years.
True. And
now he's in jail, and he's gonna die in jail. And his whole perception, no one loves Bill Cosby anymore.
Yeah.
Or if they do, they certainly sure as hell don't say it.
Fuck no, you don't.
Because what he did was wrong.
Oh, extremely.
And as we said, even if not all these come out to be true, some of them have to be. Most of them probably are.
Oh yeah, I guarantee that a strong handful are true and 100% true.
I mean, obviously, I want to say 100% are true. If there's someone in there for a money grab, they'll probably get weaseled out. As it happened with Bill Cosby, some of them got weaseled out because it looked like they were just trying to get some honeypot.
And shame on them too. If there is any women in there that are just in it, like that's shameful. Shameful act on your part.
It is. You're taking away from the real victims, and not just in these cases, Bill Cosby or Deshaun Watson, but in every sexual assault case there is across America and across the world for that matter. You're taking, respect from them, and you're almost perpetuating like the victim abuse.
Yeah, it's not actually getting the correct acts against the correct person, against that one person. You're muddying the waters, making it harder to make a clear correction to the issue at the time.
Right. Basically making it so many victims, in the past and in the future, won't get the justice they deserve.
Yeah. So shameful for them. It's just Deshaun. I mean, we tweeted out on our Twitter. I was like, I can probably call it now. Deshaun never plays another snap in the NFL. We talked about it beforehand, and then we tweeted it out too. It's just one of those things. It's like you look at it and how serious it's getting. Like I said, all the deals getting pulled. And just his lawyer saying again, I can't get past it. I'm stuck to like what lawyer ever says, "Here you go. This happened." Like I don't know what history that any lawyer just like. Hey, yeah, we're gonna tell the public that sex happened for sure, guaranteed.
I think it's been becoming more. I've heard it before. I think it's becoming more likely to happen now because it actually, again, I think it helps muddy the water even more.
Right.
Because now you have to prove not only because now like you're admitting yes, sex happened. So that's not the other. That's now no longer the other side's case. Now the other side's case is to prove that it was unwanted.
Okay.
Which is much more difficult to prove.
Yeah, so you're muddying the waters for sure. It just doesn't seem smart, in my opinion. But again, I'm not here to defend Deshaun Watson. I mean, if these acts are 100% true and the acts that or the women that are stated that are true victims, he should get punished to the full extent of the law. There's no changing that. And actually, one part that we forgot to mention so far is that maybe he's doing this because he knows that it wasn't wanted. Because there are reports coming out that Deshaun texts these women after the fact and threatened them. Yeah.
We don't know. It's just been rumors that it's been out. There's no like real facts behind that, but that's what's been reported more than once now, is that he's then gone back and threatened them.
So, which, yeah, he's trying to cover up if that is the case. Which, that doesn't surprise me because, again, from his previous therapist, she, in the interview with the Houston News, answered questions based on text messages that were released. Like, they were publicly released to everybody. It wasn't a part of a case file. Like, she released them, or whoever, part of their relationship released them. And she was asked questions like, hey, why did you say this to him? Why did he say that to you? She answered a couple of those questions. So you're saying that, even this person who is in a, good stance with Deshaun released those messages and talked about them freely. It wouldn't be surprising if those messages are, in fact, true and will probably get released to public in sometime in the future.
Possibly, yeah, at least some of them for sure. So, to the point of whether he plays or not again, I think it's very unlikely that he ever plays in the NFL again. I mean, the NFL has gone to they were for a long time a hard no on anything like this. It started with Ray Rice when he was put on camera, he was hitting his wife in the elevator, and he was out of the NFL immediately. Some other guys had been allowed back in. Kareem Hunt
I was just gonna mention,
was one of them. So it's like they went hard. They went a really hard stance, and now they're kind of softening up again, which isn't okay. The Kareem Hunt thing, it was a single video and with him and this one girl. This is totally different. We're up to 22.
22 potentially 100% harassed victims. Sexually assaulted.
It's 22, right? That's the number. It's 22. I don't want to throw, we don't want to
possibilities.
It's 22. So I mean that's just. I'm amazed he's not the Roger Goodell has not thrown him on the commissioner exempt list already. I know he doesn't have to because it's in the off season. We're not even close to the start of the NFL season.
Right.
But he can do that at any point in time, and I think it's warranted. And honestly, shame on Roger Goodell for not doing that now, to making sure that whatever happens going forward, he's already off the NFL. He's already not able to play in the NFL until he'd have to be 100% cleared before they allowed him to.
Yeah, and I think what Goodell's waiting for is the NFL did publicly say within this week time that they did open up an investigation against them, into Deshaun. So that's probably coming in the near future. The moment that NFL investigation comes up with anything concrete back to Goodell's going to write that letter out. He's on the exempt list right there. I think he's waiting for the investigation to take place. That way, when he goes to the media and says, he's on my exempt list, he will not be in the NFL, we do not stand for these type of acts and behaviors, he has concrete evidence to back it up with.
Right, but the thing about the exempt list, he can take people off the exempt list as quickly as he puts them on.
Right,
so
but you're talking a big case. You're not just saying, hey, this guy is like a Vontez Burfict who just keeps smacking people in the head and getting fined. You're not just doing that, hey, go get your act together. We're talking about potentially criminal acts.
Yeah.
Like violent criminal acts that could lead him to prison, potentially, type of things.
So then if that's the case, then why does it matter whether what you put him on? Put him on now, is all I'm saying.
I mean, I guess.
It's just...
But Goodell's got other pressures, media pressures to obligate as well to make sure he's doing
I'm actually surprised the media's not pressing him more on that. Probably because it's not the main part of the story. It's not really necessary at the moment, but it just seems like it's one of those things that it should do.
It should. This will unfold dramatically faster in the coming weeks with all these hearings going to take place.
For sure. So,
but
that's basically all the information we have on that at the moment. Yeah. A lot will come. I mean, we're still, in terms of investigation, we're in the infant stages of that. So there'll be a lot of information comes out shortly. But that was kind of our 2 cents on it at the moment. With certainly more to come. So let's go ahead.